Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Quantum Spirituality right here on Self-Discovery Media. Oh, wisdom.com used to be media. Where am I? I've been away for a month. I think my brain is still somewhere else. I got the delightful Megan Mary here today, and we're going to be talking about women's dream analysis. We've all got those dreams. What do they mean? She's talking about enlightenment and intuitiveness and introvertedness and mystique. And she's also a writer. And she's got a podcast called Enlightened Podcast, which I think is a beautiful name. What do our dreams mean? And how do we actually understand them? And is there something significant in them that we should be paying attention to? Very often it is either a subconscious or our outer conscious talking to us, telling us there's some other direction that we need to go in. She is a dream analyst, an intuitive, introvert, mystic writer, founder of Women's Dream Analysis. She works with clients all over the world, offering dream interpretations, women's empowerment, transformative journeys, and spiritual awakening guidance. She's passionate about helping women connect with their inner guidance and wisdom and their own dreams in a safe, compassionate space. She believes that the symbolic imagery in our dreams is key. Once unlocked, we tap into our innate transformational power, evolve our consciousness, and ultimately discover our life's purpose. And that purpose is what we're here for, folks. We all need to discover that. So we'll just really just unpack this right now. I don't know about you, but I have been finding lately that my dreams have been a little overactive. And it's interesting because I have a few balls up in the air at the present moment, waiting to land, waiting for the synchronicity or the timing to be right. And all of my dreams seem to be reflecting all of that. And it's like, I don't know, is it anxiety or anticipation, or are they trying to tell me something? Welcome to the show, Megan.
Thank you so much, Sarah. It's wonderful to be here.
So, how do we understand what our dreams are telling us? How do we draw a line between I'm just being anxious or over worried to really there is a message coming through?
Mhm. The first step is to have a sense of dream appreciation, I like to call it, where in our culture we don't really. So we need to first take a look at the fact that we spend a lot of time sleeping and dreaming, and that there's a much larger, greater, wonderful reason for that. And secondly, we need to take the time to learn our own dream language. So, when we can start to decode our dreams, which are stories, as actual parables that are actually trying to tell us something to help us in our life, then we really get to tap into that inner wisdom that we all have and be our own guidance and use it as a doorway to self discovery.
Mm. Yes, the self-discovery, the doorway. Very often we have so many doors in front of us, we just don't know which one to open. And I think we kind of panic about it instead of just allow. Just
Yes.
allow the hand. It will guide you to the door that you need to open. But we let a lot of our, I call it our human anxiety step in instead of our spiritual clarity. And it's how do we step outside of that and get to a point where you listen to that intuitiveness, that beautiful essence that always guides us right.
I think it's a process of learning to drop the ego,
Mm.
really, because the ego gives us the shoulds and the supposed tos and the can'ts. And there's so many fears and blocks that we put in front of ourselves that aren't even there that we create. And really taking a look at the reality, when you start to delve into the dream world, you start to get reflexively a very interesting new perspective on your waking life. And it's wonderful to be able to dive into that and start to tap into that space where you have an inner knowing, where we have a universal self, where we have a higher self, where we have what we know to be true, and then all the rest of it. Because we can't always explain why we know.
Right.
We might not be able to say, well, I have a certificate in this, so therefore I know. It's just sometimes we come from somewhere else and we're going somewhere else and we actually just know because we have been in existence for so long. And so it's honoring that.
Mm. I call that the knowingness. you know,
Yes.
um, just, channeling that universal wisdom, God, universe,
Yes.
spirit, energy, whatever anybody wants to call it. And it resonates with the heart in truth. And it gives it to the spirit in action. And then the mind knows what it needs to know when it needs to know it. And you don't need to verify, justify, do anyfy. It just is. And there's such a sense of alignment with that, isn't there?
Absolutely. I love the removing the fies. Yes. They're just so unnecessary. They just complicate things.
Yes. But we're not conditioned as human beings to trust that. We've actually really, and I think even more so in this last century, escalated into distrust. We used to never lock our doors, and we used to be a village and everybody knew everybody and supported one another. Yes, there were always villains, but now we look at everybody as a villain and we don't know how
Mhm.
to trust. And I think that we're in a state of anxiety all the time, and it doesn't help with media and social media and constant wars and constant bashing and constant that. If only media would give the same balance as it would to all the possibilities, we would see there's a
Yes.
better balance in the world. But we have to create that, don't we? We have to be the peace and the love we seek, despite all the turmoil that is going on.
Yes, absolutely. We are, it's up to us, each individual, to take the call. So we all feel that there's something else. That we have those big existential questions about why we're here. But when we block ourselves off from it and we tell ourselves all the reasons why we're not going to pursue that or why we're not going to listen to that, then that's the easy road. And everyone has the kind of the responsibility. If you're here for a reason,
Mhm.
and we need to tap in and find out what that is and kind of take our own onus to find our own alignment, because that's when we're of most value to everyone else as well.
I draw the analogy is discover what your instrument is, learn how to play it. Yes, you can be a soloist, but when you join an orchestra, each one in their own strength, and you play harmoniously together, now you truly are transcending. And I think that's what
Yeah.
it is who are you? What's your contribution? What have you stepped in and owned and become responsible of? And how is it of benefit to everyone
Yes.
else? Because for my belief, that is what we're here for, to serve each other and to evolve and grow and, reach that higher realm in a human consciousness.
Yes. And it takes being vulnerable to
Yeah.
do that. You have to strip away all the things that you might have thought you were or were supposed to do sometimes in order to stand in that power and embrace that. And it's challenging. It can be scary at times, but when we do that, then we actually become more of our evolved self, and we allow others to resonate with us when
Mhm.
we are vulnerable with our journey. And then all of a sudden we find out that there's all these other people who are having similar journeys or similar challenges. And it's that collectiveness that really can elevate us so much and help us all heal.
Collectiveness. We need to collect our thoughts, our feelings, our sense of being, our sense of purpose, and then bring that to the collective. But a lot of people think if I join a collective, it's going to define who I am. And really, it's the other way around, isn't it?
Yes, it's defined by who's in it. Yes.
Know who you are first. And so this is kind of where, the universe never lets us down. It always shows us a way. Some people, like maybe they're musicians or artisans, etc., and then it comes out through their beautiful creative force, and that reveals what it is they need to know when they need to know it. But very often it is our dreams that are speaking to us. I dream like I'm sure many people do, like a movie. And I
Mhm.
dream in color, I dream in detail, I dream in smell. I actually have lost my smell since COVID, but I can still smell in my dreams. And it's so interesting when I'm there because I'm there. Like I'm in another dimension. But then they hop from one thing to the other. So like there's several movies going on at once. How does one kind of look at those dreams then and go, what really is the message?
Well, what I encourage people to do is keep a dream journal
Mm,
and write down as much as you can remember in as much detail as you can remember. And don't worry about compartmentalizing or the linearity of it or the sensical or nonsensicalness of
mhm,
it. Just record everything you can remember. And that's really the first step, is just getting it down, because the way our brainwaves work, if we don't record it, it'll be on.
mm.
You know, sometimes we have a few dreams that we remember over time, but for the amount that we do have,
Yeah.
we just don't, if we don't record them, we're not going to remember them. And so that's really the first step in harnessing that information, is to start a regular practice of keeping a dream journal.
My brother's an author, and for an entire year, he would wake up in that twilight zone and write his dream down, right? Because he was actually writing a book about it, and of where is the kind of the bleed between dimensions? Are you actually in another dimension, right? When you're in that dream, because sometimes it's so utterly real, it feels more real than here. And it was quite fascinating, kind of then looking at the dreams and then seeing this sequential information that was coming out, over time. So is that what a journal reveals?
Very much so. And I love that you told that story about your brother, because I'm an author as well. And I do record my dreams, and I've had inspirations for, well, for my novel that I'm writing from my dream. And I found through my, call it a spiritual awakening journey, that it is a cumulative
Mm,
series of revelations and experiences and messages that happen over time. So it's
mm,
amazing to go back and be able to look at it, especially depending on how you record it. If you do it digitally, then you can search on certain things and certain words or whatever, and start to see threads amongst and over time.
and probably even triggers. Kind of a trigger the memory of the dream too by looking at it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of that
Mm-hmm.
vision. Because, I know for me that there's been many a time through my life, many, where my memory is so absolutely distinct of another life and to realize it's not being lived here. Now, is that a dream or is that another dimension?
Yeah, the reason that I call myself a mystic is because I take my dream work in a mystical frame. So, as opposed to your typical psychoanalysis or
Mhm.
something like that, I really do believe that there is much more that we don't know about
Yes.
the dream world. And I also believe that there's a level of interdimensionality to our existence that is also not quite acknowledged on a regular basis. And that when we do dream, that we can very well travel outside of time and space.
Hmm.
So forward and backwards and across,
Hmm.
and that we can have visitations with loved ones that have passed over. We can visit places that we've never been, and we can have experiences we've never had. And we can also experience things that perhaps we did experience in a previous life.
Yeah.
If you believe in that, I really do feel that there's so much potential for a metaphysical aspect in the dream world.
I think that, one of the things that would be good to get over with is the fact that we're just flesh and that's all there is.
Yes.
This is the vessel that we were given to have this beautiful divine experience in this lifetime. And we may come back many lifetimes to have different experiences until we can get to a point where I don't need to come back anymore. But it is limiting if we just think that we're only flesh, we're only matter. and that there isn't anything else, and that what's going on in the world is all there is. And for me, that would be, I think that's probably been one of my nightmares, to think that would be all there is. Because for me, it's like the wonderment and the exploration of the allowing to go wherever the spirit needs me to go, to see what I'm meant to see, to feel what I'm meant to feel, to understand it on a spiritual cellular level, and then let it weave its way into the human level to understand what to do with it. That allowing takes you places that are so wondrous that I couldn't live in that limitation. But I know a lot of people do because they don't understand there is another world out there, or they fear it because, of course, let's look at any form of movies or anything else. Spirituality is all occult, and anything to do with other dimensions must be evil. And they've been conditioned in that way. And so, how do we say to people, explore, go with that gut, beautiful feeling, allow it to take you? Because it truly is illuminating, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Yes. I love how you described that. I think we have to learn to not be afraid of our own power and not be afraid of our own knowing. And that's easier said than done because, like you said, we get so wrapped up in the societal constructs of you can't do that. You're not supposed to do that. You're not authorized to do that. That's bad to do. You shouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I completely agree with you. And I say it all the time that we're not humans having a spiritual
Mm-hmm.
experience. We're spirits having a human
Mm-hmm.
experience. And, you look at religions across centuries, and I mean, every religion has a different take on it. But of course, it's okay to have a religion. So why is it not okay
Yeah,
to have a spiritual aspect to your existence?
right.
Why can you not speak and live and think and live your life in a spiritual way without the entrapments of that
Yeah.
confinement? And that's really, I think, the challenge. Why can't it be integrated with your daily life?
Mm.
We so many of us feel called in a spiritual way, but we don't know how to make it work with our career and our family and our obligations and whatever preconceptions we have about ourselves. And we don't want other people to know about it because we feel like we will be judged, we
Yes.
be rejected, and we will risk so much, right? But at the end of the day, I feel like that's really what the challenge of being here is.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
really what we're supposed to be doing, is figuring out how to come back to that, own that, embody that, and share that.
Mm. Embody it. Just to live in the kind of the spiritual ether is a different type of feeling. If anybody who's done transcending and meditation, you're out of body. You are a part of the collective. You are part of everything, right? You are just is. When we're in the human body, we feel everything that the human body has to give us. But if we can bring that spiritual divine feeling into the human body, all of a sudden things taste different, feel different, touch is different, sight is different. And it's the merging of the gift of the body of being able to touch, taste, feel, hold. That in the spirit, which because it's so fluid, doesn't have that tangible holding of something. And it truly is a gift when you merge together, but one without the other, right? It needs on earth, going through this existence, it needs to come together, because when it does come together, that's really when you truly understand what your purpose is, what life here on this earth is meant to be about, what the evolution of our species is all about. But it's only the merging of the beautiful soul and the human existence.
Yes, and you said that so well as well, and that's the challenge, I think, because when we, like you said, get so in touch with our inner world and our spiritual side, then we don't want to be here. We
No.
don't want to be part. We
Beat
don't
me up.
want, yeah, we don't want any of these entrapments and limitations. And
Yes.
oh, it's such a drag, right?
Yes.
Because we know the greater, right? And
Mm.
that's where we want to be. And so it's finding that, tapping into that, and then saying, okay, how am I going to make this work now that I am still here? That I
Yes.
got to figure out what that combination is going to look like, how to merge the two. And it's not unlike the merging of the subconscious with the conscious, which
Mhm.
is really one of the goals of dream work, because you have all this stuff going on underneath the surface and you're just dealing with this small portion of stuff above the surface, and you don't really want to go underneath that surface. And so it's the invitation of that merging that is really that awakening and enlightenment experience.
And it's exciting. If you're willing to do it, it's exciting. I completely agree with you. It's the as a spiritual being, it's hard to live a human existence, especially when we're still in a world where there's so much hate and fear and division and greed and opulence. It is hard because the spirit knows that it's all about connection. It's all about love, kindness, caring. That is the true frequency of life. And you see this and it shatters. It can shatter a spiritual soul. But we also have to understand, just as the human is having that spiritual experience to evolve to a higher plane, the spirit is having a human existence in order to heal the human world. And so we're here for a
Mm.
job as well, right? So it's a two-way street. So, why we have conflict out there in the world, very often we have conflict within ourselves of the spirit and the human self. And again, when we decide to come together and we lock together, then there is no separation. We really do, transcend into a much higher frequency that benefits all.
Yes, that's ascension.
Yes, yes. And that ascension it's an understanding, it's an awakening. It's an
Mm-hmm.
epiphany. It's a that knowingness. It's that state of being where you don't have to work so hard to know what you need to know. You just need to open and trust and feel and be engaged.
Mm-hmm. And it's an unlearning.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. And I think that probably maybe is the human problem is unlearning, not unlearning, because let's face it, religion, maybe it started off with good intent, but it became a controlling factor. If you don't follow the divine my way, then you're the heathen, you're against me, not with me, not just like it's you put food in front of people. And I'm sorry, I'm a vegetarian, you're a meatarian. Does that make us enemies? No. So do we why do we go out to destroy each other? Because we look at differences and we don't look at commonalities.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So we are the peace that we seek. And that peace is always speaking to us, isn't it? Through the dream world. It's always showing us a path that we can take. And even when you have a tumultuous dream, a roller coaster dream, and you wake up exhausted, feeling that you've, been in an Indiana Jones movie and done it all movies put together in one, which I can wake up sometimes absolutely exhausted from my dreams. But when we put it down on paper, when we really look at it, there's always a lesson to be learned there.
Yes, there is. If we can learn how to decode it.
What is the key to decoding it? I mean, what do you look at? Is it the repetition?
Well, I have a method that I've devised that I use, and it includes 4 steps. The first one is just memory. So it's just writing it down in as much detail as you can. And I also like people to give it a title, if as if it were a story.
Yes.
So what would you title it? And then the second is mood. So of course, dreams can be so emotionally charged that
Mm.
it's important to pay attention to the mood. So when you're keeping your dream journal, write down the mood that you had before you went to bed, if you can remember it. Of course, the moods that you experienced during the dreams, and then how you felt when you woke up. And then the third step is mirror. And that's really the key part of it. It's where I look at the people, the places, the actions, the settings, the colors, the numbers, the elements, everything that's happening in the dream, and try to decode that based on your associations. So I don't want to say, well, you dreamt of an Indiana Jones scenario, and that's because you watched that movie, and that's it. Or you dreamt of a snake, and it means this because it means that for everybody. I really try to draw out your associations. And then lastly, metaphor, I try to look at your dream story as a metaphor for your waking life.
Mm,
Instead of taking it literally, instead of not accepting it at all, instead of discarding it as nonsense or regurgitation of your day, instead, I really try to take all of those factors together and really combine it into a parable from your higher self.
mm. We are always getting messages. We're always getting signs. We're always getting, the GPS, the download, the compass, the soul compass. It's always showing us a path, but it's how do we tune into it? And sometimes it could be the gut feeling. Sometimes it's that overwhelming knowingness, but very often it does come through our dreams where I am showing you the path. And just like in life, where we have to block out chatter, 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 it's the same with a dream. Block out the chatter, block out the extras in your story. And who is the main part and what it is they're doing and what is it they're trying to share with you.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to look at all the details because you remember them,
Mm,
but you might not even put them in your dream record. So many
right,
times I'll get a fairly substantial written down dream and it'll still be leaving out things.
right.
And when I start to get in the session and talk about it and ask questions, I say, "Oh yeah, well, yeah, it was actually this, and it reminded me of this, and it was bright, and it was orange, and it was whatever." And they didn't say that
Mm,
when they wrote it down. And so there's still so much that they're carrying, remembering, that is important because your subconscious is picking all these different puzzle pieces from your subconscious to put together into this one combination. And the combination is very unique and important. So you don't want to leave any of the parts out.
I do wish there was a chip that could just record. It would be
Yes.
great. That is where my best speeches and how many books have I written in my twilight zone and or in my dreams. And I just wish I could just press record. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, can we train our mind to register that dream? Is there a process that we can go through that when we're in the waking, that we hold it for long enough time to get it down?
Yes. And I do have a number of dream recall techniques that I teach in my courses. And one of the ones that I like to use is using word cues. So
Mm,
if you dream of a certain scenario, but you're lying there and you're thinking about it, and you're like, I don't want to get up right now, or I don't know where my pen is, or whatever. And you're trying to just remember it enough so that when you do get up, you can get get it out. Just pick like one or two words that encompass the whole scenario. So, I had a dream about a house that was under construction, and, I can see very clearly the whole upstairs was under construction. And then I also had another dream about a tandem bicycle. So I told myself, okay, tandem tear down. And I just kept repeating that to myself because those were the two main elements of the dream. So that at least if I could hold on to just what the subject was,
yeah, yeah.
that then I might be able to, once I'm a little bit more awake and can get to my journal, to write that down. Okay, yeah, now I remember. One of them was about the bike, one of them was about the house. Okay, let's write down whatever else I remember.
So that documentation is important, or even, turning around to your partner and telling them, you know,
Yeah, whatever,
it's
however.
whatever it is, record on your phone or write it
Yes.
down or whatever you need to do. And it doesn't matter if nothing makes sense.
No,
And
not at all. Yeah.
so it's don't try and kind of like, this has got to make sense of it. Even if you look at it afterwards and go, what the hell was I dreaming? All of it has a purpose.
Right. And sometimes you might even be recording it and you're thinking, you're not even sure if that's really what happened, or
Yes.
you're not even sure if that's really who was there or what you saw, but you're suggesting it. The suggestion is there. So just write it down because there are no right or wrongs. And if you're thinking that, that's probably what it was.
Now, what if you have
So
disturbing dreams?
yes.
Like I had a very disturbing one last night that in amidst all the other dreams. And like this morning when I woke up, where the hell did that come from?
Right.
It's what are those about?
Nightmares, as well as recurring dreams, are very powerfully charged for the reason that they're trying to wave a flag at you and say, pay attention to this. And so those are calling for even more attention
Mm,
at whatever that message is that's trying to come through. And it's, emotionally, the way your brain processes dreams, it emotionally registers them in the same way in your waking life. So that's why they feel so real, because your brain is, all the emotional parts of your brain and the associative cortex are turned on in the same way.
right.
So you're experiencing it like it really happened. And so those are the ones that are really demanding the most attention. It's not that the other ones don't have messages too. It's just that those ones feel so powerful because they want your attention. And so it's looking at that situation, and it might not be as bad as you think, actually, if you
Right.
just have a chance to give it a chance to reveal its message.
Sometimes it could just simply be you are just utterly stressed right now. And your dream is actually telling you, chill out,
Mm,
relax.
yeah,
Sometimes,
yeah,
sometimes we do need those other messages to tell us something that's so utterly obvious, right? Because we're
right.
not paying attention to it. And I think, that's one of the problems with, life and us as a human species is that we don't pay attention to the small details. Um, it's not like, every data, what does that mean? What does that mean? But it's that I think if we observe and just let it go into the memory bank, somewhere along the line, what you observed had an important, because you can have daydreaming, right? Which is just as important. Uh, and that observation, why does that keep coming back into my mind? Well, that observation was there for a reason. So you don't always have to be asleep. You could be what I call the twilight zone. You're in kind of a daydream. You're cognitive and awake, but there's a dream process going on at the same time. And nothing is really kind of wasted. It's all got a reason, hasn't it?
Yes. And even in your waking life, even in your beta state,
Hmm.
when you are driving to do your errands and you're just thinking, oh, well, nothing important is going to happen right now because I'm just doing something really boring. And your eye goes to this sign or to that car or to this person, you're noticing things that someone right next to you might be noticing something else. You're
Right.
noticing things because you're supposed to notice them.
Yes.
And that's why you look at the clock at a certain time when you do. That's why click on one video instead of another when you're on the internet. That's why you have these synchronicities. And it's really all about following the synchronicities.
Yeah. Back to that synchronicity. That seems to have been the theme here today. There is a thread between everything. What has been repetitive? What has keep showing itself? Pay attention to it. Um, very often I think we're la 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 la, I don't want to deal with it, I don't want to deal with it. But this is a way of you resolving, and the resolving comes through dealing with something. And if something's constantly being repetitive, that means you've got to deal with it. That's the way through to the other side, is through, not around, under, or paying someone else to do it, but going through it.
Right. Yeah. And what's the alternative? Just to
Yeah.
continue to loop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we do very much as human beings live in a loop a lot, constantly repetitive. And I think very often we don't realize we're living old patterns, old programming. And I think when, that becomes something we're aware of. Hang on, I keep repeating myself and I keep repeating this thing. Why? And you look back and it could be something to do with your lineage or past life or whatever, and you go, well, this pattern needs to be broken because it's no longer serving me, and it's paying attention to it and consciously redirecting. and recognizing when it comes back up again. I've already deleted you, right? So, I think that one of the things that we see, and I call them humanoids, are people just going through life like a drone, like just unconscious of life. And I think one of the things is engagement in our own lives, engagement with what's around us, allowing our senses to be sensory, to actually feel. Oh, sorry, I don't know what that is. Apologize. So life interrupts, it generally does happen. But I think we're so busy living this outside life of waiting for everyone else to come and fix things, to
Hmm.
change things, that we don't realize that everything is the inside out job and that we have to be responsible for our own choices. Now, we can't always choose what happens to us, but we can choose what we do with it and who we become with it. And that when we tune into those sensories, when we open up that channel, it is always there to guide us through. It is always there to guide us on a path that is better serving for us so we can be of better service to others. And it's just, I think, being engaged and being aware. And so many people go through life unaware when the signs are there all the time around them.
Completely. It's ignorance is bliss. It's a little bit easier that way, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just existing. You just think, well, I don't know why I'm here, but I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to wake up each day and do what I got to do. And hey, at least I'm doing something. And you're not really ever questioning,
Mm.
um, because partly you're either afraid to, or you just think there's no point. Like you just don't, you know, yeah, it's always stunning to me how it's a it seems like it's an easier existence, but it's also just such an empty existence.
Yes. If it's empty, it's not easy. I think it's harder existence because there is no sense of value in your life. There's no sense of purpose. There's no sense of exploration. I think if we lose our wonderment, and if we lose that exploratory nature to try and understand and what else is out there and what am I here to do? If we lose that, then, back to being the humanoid, it's people talk about robots taking out. We become the robot because we're not engaged. And I think, this is why we were given curiosity. And this is why we have so much incredible technology at our fingertips today because of that curiosity. But it hasn't seemed to have been with our own evolvement
Mm-hmm.
spiritually.
Right. Yeah. Not everyone is using the technology in a way that is spiritually evolutionary.
Mm. So in your courses, are they, do you do one-on-ones? Do you do, courses of a group of people? How does it work?
I do offer one-on-one dream sessions. I also have what are called dream journeys, which are a series of sessions to address a particular type of dream. And then I have the online self-paced courses that teach you the methods so that in techniques so that you can practice it yourself. And because I really want dreams to be an empowering practice. I
Mm.
feel like it is the ultimate in self-care. And I want to encourage everyone to regularly do that and have it be one of their in their toolbox, in their spiritual toolbox. I also have an online community called the Women's Dream Collective, where I do a group dream circle every month. And that really allows people to be able to come on in and seek and share and support each other
Yeah.
so that they can, get that commonality. Say, yeah, I had an experience like that, but I didn't know who to talk to about it or where it fit in, or I didn't have anybody that wanted to listen. So just holding that space where it really can become a part of everyone's journey.
Until you get to the point where you allow that channeling of the divine to be your compass and lead you forward, we need each other to be that support, to steady us on our way so we can step into that space where we can allow that wisdom to come through. And because we're stepping away from the human expectation and dictation of how we should live into a realm of trust, allowance, and inner belief. and that sometimes it's, the footing is a little unsure, and we do need that support along the way. uh, and it's, not something necessarily new what to do, maybe sharing how they've done it, and you can apply or not apply, but sometimes just as a cheerleader, I've got you, don't worry, I believe in you, you can do this, because it's transitioning, isn't it, from the dictation of life through the centuries into the allowing of being, becoming a being. And it can be a little shaky. So you do need that support.
100%. No one rarely will have the courage to just strike out on their own in this type of endeavor. You really need other people around you to say, yes, I think what you're doing is valuable. I value your opinion. I have experienced things I can't explain too.
Mhm.
I feel a calling too. I don't know what to do with it. And be an inspiration for other people, an example, because when other people see you having the courage to do that, then they say, it's really great to see you doing that, because I am interested in this, but I'm afraid to tell anybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
And that fear, back to human judgment, which, as everybody seems to like to do, going back to picket fence. Did you hear what she did? And it's like, why not be, did you hear what she did? How inspiring. How about we change the way we talk about other people? How, I believe that inspiration begets invitation. And when we're inspired by someone, it's an invitation to us to want to step up ourselves. And perhaps we could change the way we dialogue about ourselves and about each other, and be a little less judgmental, because where does that judgment come from? It's a condition that's been imposed upon us, that you're different, so therefore I must put you down. Who came
yes,
up with that, Uh,
right,
instead of you're different and you're illuminating. How how do I step into that light, into my own light, and let it
right,
inspire us?
yes. Instead of watching someone else's journey and feeling bad about your own, have it be
Mm,
inspirational to go on your own journey, because that's really why we're all here. And yeah, I think sharing it is one of the key steps of gaining that support
yeah.
that everyone needs.
And supporting one another, is something so beautiful, because what we're doing is we're sharing energy. We're sharing loving energy. And energy, like the wind and like the air, is infinite. It just keeps on going. And the more that you share it, you don't run out of tank. Oh, I can only give this amount of love away today because I've got to reserve my tank. No, the more you give, the more you are fulfilled, because as you give the love, it regenerates your own love within you.
Mm,
And so it's like give, share, 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 because it's so utterly fulfilling and filling you up at the same time.
yes, yes. That's why I'm often asked on podcasts what one of my mantras is, and it is that the hand that gives is the hand that gets, because
Mm,
of what you just said.
yeah.
Mhm.
What are your books about?
Well, I have one novel that I'm working on currently, and it is probably going to come out next October, I'm hoping,
Hmm.
for in time for Halloween. And it's set in a Halloween backdrop. So it's fiction, it's fantasy, and it intertwines dimensions, dreams,
Mm,
and magic,
love it. Love it.
as well as cats, because those are some of my favorite things. And it's really a story of a woman's personal journey, that she embarks on when she goes to solve the disappearance of her eccentric aunt.
Love it. Love it. All of those tick my boxes completely. And that's the only book you have? You have other books as well?
Up here, but
Okay,
not in print.
ready to download.
Not
Yes.
in print yet.
Yes, no, I was lying there the other night, and I'm always in a movie, and I'm just because that's where my mind works, and I'm talking to some people, and always a story within a story comes out, and like two chapters just poured out of me in my head. And this is why, God, I wish I could download. Because when it actually comes to sitting down and then typing it out or speaking it out, it's, and though I did write my book that way, I was going to audio it and then transcribe it. And instead, I sat down and let the fingers do it. And the fingers
Mm.
just wrote it, right? So, and it is what it is. I'm kind of second guessing it. Too late now, it's going out. So, sometimes that's what you got to do. Let it go,
It's
right?
better.
Let
Yes,
it
it's
be what
better.
it's meant to be. And that's another thing I think is you create something, whatever it is you're creating, in one frequency, right? And this is what this frequency means, and this is what this is. But somebody else picks it up and receives it in a different frequency and sees it from a different point of view. That doesn't make it wrong. That doesn't make what you've done wrong. It just is another perspective. And I think the more perspectives we can have on something, the more open we are to see how beautiful those different perspectives are.
Yes. And when you're creating something, it's so difficult to not say, well, nobody's going to read this anyway. Nobody's going to
Yeah.
understand it. I don't need to put it out. I don't need to finish it. Because when you're called to write something or create something, it's because there is other spirits out there that need it, that
Yes.
want it, that are waiting for it. And when they do receive it, they're not reading it in the case of a novel to read you in there,
Right.
even though that's what you think they are doing. And so you feel like you're just ripping your skin off because, they're going to know every deep, dark secret of you. They're reading it to see themselves in it.
Relatability, right? How
Yeah.
does it relate to them?
Yeah.
Yeah, a mirror of themselves in it. And that's really, yeah. I mean, I think, like I do with these podcasts, and I'm sure you do with your own, um, we put all our loving energy into it, and I do everything I need to do to get it out there. Once it's out there, it's out of our hands.
Mm-hmm.
Who and when and how they choose to listen to it is up to them. We can't dictate that. It is their perception of what they're hearing. And
Right.
that is okay. That is okay. And I think that's one of the things that I think as a human race, we need let go of the control. And when you've put it out with heart intent, soul intent, that will be picked up in some form or other. But people, if they turn it negative, that's because there's a reflection of the negativity within them. It's got nothing to do with you once it's out there.
Yes, that's a very wise advice and something we should all do well to remember. Yes.
Yeah, it's again, you know, um, when people attack you for any reason, it's really their own discontent coming out, and you're just a sounding board. And
Mhm.
you can. I used to say to a certain somebody, take it up with your mirror. That's the only one that's interested,
Oh, I
um,
like that.
because it's really got nothing to do with me. I've just become the bashing board, and I think that's where boundaries while you're in this self-discovery, while you're discovering what your dreams are meaning, where are they leading you to, is we want you to be open and fluid and free because that's what the spirit is. Where the boundaries come in is in the human side of things, of the boundaries of what energy you allow in and what energy you put out. And I think that's really important to have those boundaries. They're not borders, they're boundaries of harnessing your energy where you're not depleting it, where have enough to be able to give to other people and you're not allowing other people to suck it out of you.
Yeah, that's a really big challenge, especially when you're an introvert,
Mm,
when you're empathic, when you're a highly sensitive person. All of those things are really big challenges. And I think those are the people, of course, that the world needs.
yes.
But those are the people who are least likely to take on that challenge
Yeah,
because it's so overwhelming and it's so counter to the default nature
right.
of, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've suffered a lot through depression in my life. And somebody said, it's not your depression, Sarah, it's empathic depression. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm picking up like radar everything that's going on, and it's just causing this horrible despair feeling inside of me. And there is nothing rational you can do anything about that. There is no logic rational, it's just a horrible feeling that you need to do whatever you need to do to try and get out of your energy, you're getting to positive energy on that. But I think, yes, being an empath is beautiful because you really do have a sensitivity and a feeling for life. And that's why you pour yourself out to others, because you
Mhm.
understand the importance of it. But the other side of it is this is going to hit you now and again when troubled in the world. And I know that my one dream last night was about a baby, and I'm sure because I saw something about the children that were kidnapped, etc. And so it's going to replay. I want to save them. How can I? I can't
Mhm.
do anything from where I am except for send beautiful, loving white light
Yeah.
around them. And then if
Mhm.
we can all send that loving vibration to them, not the hate for the person who's captured them, but for the person that's going through it, we
Yeah.
allow that energy of that illumination and divine to help them through that journey. And I think it's very easy to feed the hate. It's very
Mhm.
easy to get angry, but it's counterproductive. And I think
Yeah.
it's pull yourself into the victim of empowering their energy to survive through whatever they're going through.
Yes. That's a beautiful way to look at all of the horrible things that happen in the world, and because it's such a challenge, right? Why do we feel that we're here when we're in the moment we have to coexist with all these other things? But I like what you said about that it's all in finding your service,
Yeah,
basically what you can offer um, to help others get through it too.
we are all here to be of service to one another. We are all here with a beautiful divine instrument. We've just got to learn what it is, how to play it, and then which orchestra to join, right? Because we really can ascend and transcend that beautiful energy out into the world when we understand togetherness is absolutely imperative. But we want you to be a whole soul, heart, spirit person in that togetherness, because that's where the real fruitfulness comes out. And that is our responsibility, each and every one of us. So people like you are helping people understand what that purpose is through the dream world, through the messages that are coming to them. Because, I was going to write my book about my angels going on voyage. Will you listen now? And the cosmic two by four that we get because we're not paying attention,
Mm.
right? And if we learn to pay attention, we realize that guidance system is there all the time, helping us walk forward in the path that we're meant to walk forward in. But very often we just don't know how to transcribe it. And that's what you're here to do, is help them actually understand what that message is so that they can learn to be in tune to the message and allow it to guide them forward in their purpose in life.
Yes, well said.
So tell me about your podcasts. Are they just you or do you interview people?
It's both. So it's called the Women's Dream Enlightenment Podcast, and I do dream interpretations on there. So I have women come on that want to share their dream with the world, and we do it a dream session live, as well as interviews with other women who are sharing their story of spiritual awakening. So it's
Lovely.
basically it's a all deep discussions, and it's whatever I want to hear, what happened to them, where they came from, what they discovered about themselves, and then what they're offering to the world now. And I've just had so many amazing women come on with so many amazing stories and gifts. And I just really wanted to create that platform and that space to elevate them and let them share their story.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very grateful for podcasting. I've been doing it 11 and a half years, 10, over 10 years with my own network. It has transformed me completely through the wisdom that I've shared with other people's wisdom shared with us and the audience. And it's, you know, um, yes, you do what you do, but if people resonate with you and who you are, then they're going to more trust you
Yeah.
in being vulnerable with you in what you do. And this is the beautiful thing about podcasts, is that people have that radar of knowing when someone is genuine and when they're not. And it's a way of truly hearing she's speaking to me. She's saying something that I need to know. I want to know more. I need to investigate more. I need to open up myself more. And that's that invitation, the illumination and the invitation, right? Because it's podcasting is a great gift of people that we wouldn't have had access to before.
Yes.
And now we have access from all over the world, which is beautiful, which is lovely.
Yes.
So
I completely
definitely.
agree.
This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Now, if somebody
Yes.
wants to either have a one-on-one or be a part of the group or just don't know what they need right now and they just need to reach
Yes.
out to you,
Yes.
how do people get hold of you? What is the process?
You can find me at womensdreamanalysis.com. And I'm also on YouTube, Pinterest, Twitter, LinkedIn, lots of other places. And this podcast is, of course, on all the platforms and 4 different video platforms as well. So, yeah, any of those ways.
And they either can go Megan Mary Author, that's your Twitter.
Mhm.
You've also got your email, Megan at womensdreamanalysis.com. You've
Yes.
got your online dream courses here, which again, womensdreamanalysis.com/forward women's online dream courses. You've also got a free enroll here, which if people come to the site and simply put in selfdiscoverywisdom.com and simply put in Megan Mary, whenever you're listening to this, you will find that free roll there. So you can sign in onto it. You also can tap into her podcasts and look at her YouTube and LinkedIn and everything else and
Yes.
investigate for yourself because this is the introduction to who she is and what she does. The next step is yours. What are you going to do about it? We all have dreams, and those dreams are trying to tell us something. And what we need to do is learn how to decipher what those dreams are. What's just a reflection of our day? What is something that's really got an important message for us? And when we learn to tune into that, then we realize it is our guidance system. It is that divine constantly there with us, helping us on our path forward. So reach out to Megan and have a chat and just see where you need to be. But get those dreams deciphered because it will help propel you forward. So thank you so much for being with us here today, Megan.
Thank you very much, Sarah. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, my pleasure. I really did enjoy it. Dreams, folks, some people say, I don't dream. No, you just don't remember what your dreams are. Maybe you're a deep sleeper, you don't remember them. But there's still something in your daytime that comes up. Like, "Ah, why is this nagging at me? Why is this doing this?" It's like a daydream trying to come through. And it's like all of those little things that keep tapping you on the shoulder. Don't ignore them. Don't shrug them off. Try and find a way to actually understand what they're trying to say to you. And Megan's here for you to do that. So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tab at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.